So what happens when you put this super controller with this super sequencer? All right, guys, let's get to it. What up, guys? Mayan here with another video. Music should be simple, and this is what my channel is all about. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to program the Launchpad with the Octatrack and the steps that you need to take. And then at the end, I'm gonna put a link to my own template. So yeah, guys, all right, let's get to it. So this is my template. It's really basic for what I'm using it right now. I think it's going to evolve as I get more into like what I need from working with the Octatrack and other synths. But for now, for the Octatrack, this is the template. So the first row, it's actually is gonna control the tracks. So you can like turn them all on and off just by swiping through. As you can see on the side of the Octatrack, now they're on. And I color coded them so like I have an idea on like what they are. For this one, I actually have the kick here on the track number 2. So let me go show you guys. Just on the sequencer, let's go and jump into this drum pad. So the cool thing is that, you know, if you only have the Octatrack, you can actually have like those samples in those different tracks, and you can actually use the drum pads as live drumming and stuff, which is pretty cool. So on the second one, I actually do have the MIDI channels on and off. So why I decided to do that is because you can control up to like 4 sequences with the Launchpad, but you can control another 8 sequences for 8 other machines with the Octatrack. So I mean, why not have 12 machines working all at the same time, right? You can turn them on and off. And then over here at the bottom in this one, I decided to actually like use the sense, the Q sense. So you can see the lights blinking. So you can actually send them to a pedal or something like that. You know, you could actually have a synth come in through another track and then send it here, like whatever you want to do with your workflow, which is pretty cool. So now I don't have to go to like press Q and all this other stuff. Sometimes, you know, I get confused with fingers. Now they're color coded, so I have a better understanding. This two right here, I think they're pretty important because I can like move, you know, between, let me turn this off so that I can move, as you can see right here, I can move between tracks. I can go over tracks, you know, as well, which is really cool. So after you're like done programming like a set or something in the Octatrack, you can see us go up and down, and then you can change those sequences. So that's like my page 1. Page 2, it's faders. So depending on how hard you press them. So right now I'm going to press play. They're all on. So let's go to custom number 2, and then let's bring it all in. You know, so I kind of like that. I dig that idea. So if you want to like kill them all as well, you know, they're going to start coming in down. You can, if you press super hard, it goes all the way up. So depending on like what you want to do, right? So super slow. It's like a slow fade. I think it's a unique way of working, which I like. On the third page, what I did is I actually just wanted to go across. So right now I have, this is for like my effects 2 page. So it's going to control. So let's go to the actual kick. So I'm actually just doing a delay. So if we go to the kick, you're going to hear that delay. And then you can do that. Depending on like what you have done, you know, again, you can actually like bring it in super slowly, depending on like how you're working in their set. And then on track 2 is going to be pretty much the same idea, but except for like the FX1, which is kind of neat. So right now I have this one set up for the kick. So like I can like boost up the kick or like cut it and like whatnot. But the other thing that I like about this controller is this mutation feature. So if you press over here, this kick is going to mutate, and also probability of that kick, I would say that's about like 30%. So it's only going to happen every so often. And with the mutation, what's really cool about that is that it's going to like change, you know, like the pitch and the sound. So that's also another really neat feature of this controller. So if you wanted to do something like that, something similar, what you would have to do is press here and then, you know, trick conditions. And then you will go, you know, percentage wise, which is good, but it doesn't change the pitch. The pitch, you would have to like change it probably with, you know, you're gonna go over here and then you could change it, right? You can change the pitch, but it's kind of like static. It doesn't change. You could do an LFO and do all this other stuff, but you know, here with this like mutation, it just does it. So I think it's like really flexible. But now for part 2, let me explain to you guys what I did and how I got it working after reading the manual, which is crazy. Okay, a couple of tools that you're gonna need. One is gonna be, you know, like the Elektron Octatrack manual, because of course, you know, you need the manual. It's a little hard to understand, you know, if you're not really used to mapping controllers. This is the first controller that I have actually mapped, so it was hard for me. The other thing that I found, which is really great, is this thing called Octamap. So this helped me a little bit to understand, like, okay, this is what this does and what this doesn't do. But one thing, you know, that I noticed from the video that I was watching regarding like the Octatrack and the Launchpad, you know, a couple of things that you have to understand. A new one. All right, so we're gonna create a new one. So over here, you have the different widgets that you can use, right? So you have the Midi nodes, you have the CC buttons, then program changes, drum grids. So you can customize whatever you want with it. I use this one, you know, the bipolar one for my faders, and then the horizontal one for the actual like effects. You know, to the buttons on the one that I created for the Octatrack and my tracks, right? I used CC buttons for each of the tracks. So one thing that you have to keep in mind is that each track of the Octatrack, it's a MIDI channel, right? So that is one thing that you are going to have to do. Going back to this chart, 49 is actually track muting, right? So you're gonna select 49 for this one, and then it's going to be set to channel 1, and then you're gonna, instead of like momentary or trigger, is gonna be toggle. And then you're gonna do the, you can copy this one over and over and over for like the 8 different channels, but every time the only thing that you're gonna have to change, it's going to be the MIDI channel. So like if you wanted to do this again, you just actually hold so you hold Option in the Mac, and I don't know what you will hold in Windows, but kind of like the same idea. And then you can like keep on copying it, and it's gonna copy whatever you had there, you know. So like if I move to this one, it's gonna have the same thing, so it makes it easier to work. Okay, so let's delete these ones because I already had that mapping going. So then you're gonna change the MIDI channels, you know, you're gonna go all the way up to 8. That's for the 8 MIDI channels, and that's pretty much to turn off and on, or mute and unmute the different tracks, right? So the second step that I did is because I wanted to use the MIDI channels, it was kind of like the same idea, except that for this one, right, we start with muting MIDI at 112, right? And this one is different than from tracks. So this one you can actually, you're gonna start from 112 all the way up to like I think it's let me see, it's 119, right? And here is going to affect actually only channel 1, your MIDI channel 1, right? So now that we have those going, you're able to turn on and off the MIDI tracks, which is really cool. And in order to do, you know, the Q sense, right, for this other one, you actually have to use 51. So we go over here to this chart, track solo, right? Actually, track Q, and then you're gonna do the same thing that you did to mute the tracks, because it's gonna change depending on the MIDI channel, right? But then you're gonna use 51 for all of them. Okay, so it took me a little bit to get to that point, and I was like about to like lose it, but I figured it out. You can do it. The other thing that was like, honestly, it was like a little bit crazy, is the going up and down. So in this one, you actually have to use the auto channel that is set up with your Octatrack. I have mine set up for number 11. So, and in here, you're actually going to use notes. So in widgets, you have the MIDI notes, right? So let's go back to the setting of this one. And as you can see, I used the MIDI note, and let me like replicate that. You're gonna bring it over here. And then over here, you're gonna see the difference between, you know, the note, octave, and pad mode, and all this stuff. Versus this is a CC, right? You're gonna see the CC control here. So let me delete this one. So over here, now you actually have to go the actual manual, and then the tracks, right? You know, you're gonna go over here. Okay, which track is which? Then the actions, right? So track up and down. Track up is G flat, and then track down is A. So that's how I came to do this. So yeah, I actually like picked, you know, MIDI channel 11 because it's my auto channel, and then for both, and then I just changed the notes. So to go up is a G flat, and then you have A. So that's for like the first page, right? The second page that we had, you know, is track fades. So let me pull it up here. So here, the type of widget that you want is a vertical bipolar, or you could do just unipolar. It doesn't matter, right? I think that I should have done unipolar, to be honest, and not the bipolar. But here, the only thing that you need to do, right, is go back to the chart or to the manual. It doesn't matter. So if we go to the manual, and if we go over here, and then we go track level, right? We go over here, track level, same idea, right? It's 46 on CC, right? So you're gonna come over here, and then you're gonna put 46, and then you're gonna copy this one with option, and then you're gonna lay it over, and then you're gonna change the MIDI channels. And that's how you like get over like building your template for like the fades. So for the effects, the same idea, right? Except that I chose, you know, the faders that are going horizontal. So if we go back to settings, same idea. I picked 45 because 45 corresponds to the effect for effect 6, which the parameter that I have in this effects is, you know, is just like a send or like a mix or wet and dry. And then I went up, you know, 45, and then I just changed the channel. And then for the effects on the Octatrack, for effects 1, the same idea, except that I chose 39 because 39 corresponds to the parameter that I was changing. So you can go here in the Octatrack, you know, count and change the parameters that you want to use. So after all of that is said and done, you have to save your work because if not, you know, it only stays in the Octatrack, but you don't get it like a saved file. That is pretty much it. Hopefully this was useful for you guys. I am actually going to add this to a link so you guys can like go download the templates and you can use them if you want to. I think that this project is going to continue to evolve. I think that I'm going to actually make something where like actually I can record straight from the Launchpad. Then I'm gonna probably have another one where I actually like I'm thinking, you know, of like the things that I usually use with the Octatrack, like write, you know, arpeggios and like all this other stuff. But it is a lot of time, you know, to understand like all the different CCs and like how you have to actually like program them. But hopefully this was helpful for you guys. If you like this, there's some other videos right here, and I'm going to save this and I'm gonna put it in a Dropbox link that I'm gonna link down below so you guys can like download the templates, use them yourself, and modify them. And if you come up with something cool, I would love to hear it. All right, guys. Well, yeah, thank you. Peace.